It's
Hmm.
like it's not about your feelings when it comes to business. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest parts when it came to like me and you going into business together and stuff like that, is taking away the feelings part and making sure that when we're talking business, we're talking business.
Yeah.
When we talking relationship, we talking relationship values. We try hard not to talk business when we in the bed.
Yeah, that because I'm like, wait, you said it was hard because I don't bring personal
Yeah,
to
that part is
business,
hard. Trying
right?
not
Like
to
I don't
talk
like
business while we laying down, girl, to
yeah,
go
go
to
to
sleep.
bed, having personal time. It's
Yeah.
cutting the business off more so that's hard because I don't bring personal to business because you listen, you gonna still do this.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't care.
we don't
We
bring
both gonna
personal.
still show up to work. I ain't
Yeah.
got time to be one of them couples who because we into it personally, bringing it into business, and now everything. Oh, I ain't got time for
We
that.
don't bring personal to business, but
But
we
we
bring
bring business
business
to
to personal.
personal. Yeah,
Like business will get talked about 24/7
yeah,
if it was up to both of us. So it's that whole both of us having that mindset that we do have to turn that off at one point,
yeah.
at least after a certain time throughout the day, so we can be able to like talk about something else. Me personally, if we're not recording anything, then I feel like 10 o'clock is my turn off time, especially for me.
Yeah,
Like I'm turning it off at 10 o'clock, you feel me? And
yeah.
actually for Mr. Hunt Bubbles type stuff, it's actually getting turned off at 6 o'clock when it's time to close, it's time to close.
I work. Listen.
But because the podcast and doing the clothing line and stuff, it can be 24
Yeah.
hours a day. That's when I snap into that mode to where now I got to do the overseeing of like different designs. We talking about how we want to launch some stuff or what direction we gonna bring it in or
Hmm.
the type of research that we need to do so we can understand like the different lanes a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's a turn it on and turn it off. And it's turning off the service part of my brain and turning on the actual creative designer and
Yeah. Products, marketing.
products and marketing like side of my brain. So that's my main thing. I try to make sure that because it's both sides for me.
Yeah.
And then also it's more than two sides, it's three sides. Because then we also on certain days we got to talk about content when it comes to putting out the podcast
Yeah.
or doing these lives. So now we got to stroll through. And this one thing I don't really like to do is actively stroll through TikTok to look for content to talk about.
I'm used to it because
I'd rather just
I
go on
tend to do
TikTok
that
just to dry go
anyhow.
on TikTok.
Yeah. See, and because I'm not an internet person, I don't really do the internet. I'm always on the internet for work. Like I'm the person that's like, no, I'm working. Because otherwise, I just wouldn't be on the internet. So for me, it's normal to be browsing through the internet to look for topics and to because I talk like I do the healing stuff anyhow. So I'm always looking for something to relate to uh my audience. So that's literally what social media is for me. So I don't have an issue with it, but I'm also my pages are so restricted off of toxic stuff because I don't want to see that when I am taking a personal scroll through social media. But it's hard for me to cut out
Because
work.
especially on record days, I really don't like looking on TikTok on record days because I want to have my mind fixed on what I'm going to talk about on the podcast. I don't want to mix it all together to where now I feel like that I'm stealing somebody else's talking point or I'm sounding like somebody else. So when it's always record days, I try to stay off of TikTok as much as I can so I can have my mind together for when I do got to get ready to start recording.
Yeah, it's a process to everything. And I think if you're gonna go into working with your spouse, the relationship has to be um it gotta be
Strong.
yeah, like the communication has to be at least decent. Like y'all gotta be able to like have emotional intelligence gotta be real high because you work like we work different. Like I'm a
Yeah.
no nonsense. Like I don't have time to be playing with you. We need to get this done and we need to get it done quickly. Like we need to get it done now and it needs to be correct. Like I just don't be having time for it. He's more like laid back, chill. He's gonna get it done,
Hmm.
but sometimes I'm like, what are we waiting for? Like I'm very like, you done with that? Let's
Because
do
certain
this. We're gonna
stuff
do this. We're gonna do this. You
is
got it or
different.
no? Like we need to be researching or not? Like because but I also come from corporate. I have a corporate background,
Yeah, but you're bringing
so
corporate background to street urban fashion. And it's like that ain't how that work. Like,
Yeah, but it's even just in general. I'm like that with everything, whether I'm designing a t-shirt or looking for marketing or the podcast or the detail. Like I'm very like, what are we doing this or we doing that? We like, I need answers on it now. Versus he's way more chill. So you
cause every
because you
time,
have two different work
yeah,
styles. Like y'all gonna
more
have
than
two,
anything, yeah,
yeah, you have two different work styles. He's more organized. I'm not. I'm like, oh, I'm an organized mess.
yeah. No,
I
I'm
understand my mess. Like, but I voiced that going into this, like, no, I get my work is, I'm unorganized, but I'm gonna clean it up. Like, I have my own, I'm a chaos, I'm organized chaos,
But
is
I
what I
have to
call
be
it.
organized because of the whole like Mr. Hunt Bubble stuff. Like
Yeah,
that's organized. Like I make sure that my truck is organized, everything is in there the way it needs to be, so I can be
yeah,
able to move and be efficient. Like I
yeah,
got my table out, I got all my products out, and when I'm finished with that one product for that whole entire time, I put that bad boy up. So it's like it's that whole it's efficiency for me.
yeah,
I move in a very efficient way. So when it's time for me to do stuff, I'm gonna do it.
yeah. That's
It's
all I know. He's
just
gonna
like,
do it.
yeah,
It's just we have two different ways of getting it done. And for me, if I find something's taking too long, I'm like, what's the problem? So when you're working with your spouse, all that to say, you have to be able to like have high emotional intelligence to understand like one, whatever's going on personal in y'all life don't have nothing to do with business. You can't bring that into business. And then two, you still have to do this just as if this was your business partner. You still have to sit down and have business meetings. You can't approach business like your relationship in every standpoint
yeah.
because again, she would do that personally. Most likely she does it a lot. He know his wife. But his problem was you brung this into business, and I told you no as a business partner, right? Like he's
Hmm.
like, that's not
That's not
okay. So
cool.
then you
Like,
figure it out, like as a business partner, like just like he would tell anybody else that would do that. He's like, you figure it
yeah,
out with
now you
this
need to
lead,
figure out how we're gonna do this.
like,
Like,
and
yeah.
she like, hold on, wait a minute, she's shocked, but
But
that's
that's
because
business
you
wise.
didn't
Yeah.
personally as my wife you would have did it. You probably would have been a little upset if I like did something like if she did something, it just wouldn't have been a bigger blow because you expecting it personal. For business, you can't always bring every you have to you gotta be real strict on them lines. You
Hmm.
gotta be very aware of not bringing those things into it. So it ain't for the weak though. Working with your spouse is y'all could be the best of
The best of
communicators,
besters.
but
But
it's just understanding it is a line and y'all do work differently because y'all
yeah.
different people. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta just it's being, but at the end of the day, it's respect, right? And
Hmm.
like for today's time, it is hard. People around you make it hard too to respect your spouse
Yeah.
because I get on a business call and they be like, "Well, how much would he really mind if you just went ahead and made the decision? If he gets a good result out of it, when he wouldn't mind, right?" And I was like, and I'm always like, yeah, but I don't. We don't move like that. I
Yeah,
don't
but
go
the
talk to
thing
him
with that
about it.
is because only people that say that is not business owners.
Yeah,
No disrespect to people that don't own businesses, but this ain't got nothing to do with you. It's about the marketers and the ones that's calling for other people to try to tell us how to run our business. Oh, I got a business proposition for you. What about if we, first of all, you don't have a business proposition for me. Your boss got a business proposition for me. Don't come at me like we're on the same level because we're not. I'm an actual business owner and you're gonna have to come at me with some respect. Like you're gonna have to tell me what you're trying to talk about. I don't need you to sit on my phone line and play with this whole making it seem like that you're gonna do one thing, but whole entire time you actually trying to sell me something. Because more than all, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to sell me on something. It's up to me as a business owner to figure out, well, maybe I do need to buy this,
yeah.
but it's still not a business proposition. That's not a business proposition when you're calling me and you're a marketer and you're trying to sell me something.
See that everywhere though. It's not even just business. Like
Hmm.
anywhere I go, and I don't know if it's a female thing
Yeah.
or what, but I see that everywhere. Like people are always like, well, your husband wouldn't really mind if it's gonna, save him some time and it's gonna say like he gets good results of it. He's not gonna care about you, making a decision without him. And I'm like, I don't know how y'all run y'all stuff. That's not my business.
Mm,
But I'm gonna talk to him about it, and then if that's what we decide to do, I get back to you. Like, and I get that like across the board. I always find myself having to like reiterate that. Like,
yeah.
that's just not. And people like some people look at it like it's real strange, and I'm like, well, it's just a respect factor. And I'm like, because and I think I had to explain it to somebody like a friend, and I'm like, I don't do it because I don't want him to do it to me.
Hmm.
That's it. Like I don't make no decisions. Don't do that. If we finna spend some money, we finna invest in something, we finna like a subscription, we finna be about to don't be just doing shit and don't be like, hey, is this I don't care if it take through a text message and say, hey, I'm about to do this, it's cool. I don't like that. So for me it's just a respect thing. Like I don't want it done to me. I would be pissed. So I'm not going to do it in reverse sometimes. And I had to tell somebody, I'm like, it's not about if he would be upset or not. He probably would, but I'm gonna let him know this is what I'm doing.
Cap,
Like,
because I'm always upset about something. So nah, that ain't true. Like especially when it comes to like spending money up on some type of some other type of services that I feel like that probably not needed. So we decide to that's one of our biggest business decisions that we do make is that we treat each other like equal partners and we communicate everything like on books, on paperwork, we're both 50-50 when it comes to every single thing. But when it comes to her business, she's more 60-40. And when it comes to my business, I'm more 60-40. Like, yeah, sure, we both come to the table and we make the business decisions that we have to make as business partners. But in her business wise, she have a little bit more say so in how things gonna go. In my business wise, I have a little bit more say so in how it's gonna go. And I feel like because we actually run it like that, we have a better understanding with how we want to do with the business because the clothing and the healing stuff and like the selling stuff online and stuff like that, that's more your wheelhouse and you're better at doing that. So I prefer to take like I don't mind taking a back seat and understanding like what direction that you want to take this in because you spend more time doing that.
yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's like understanding where we each
Our
excel, like with
strengths and weaknesses at.
yeah, like where we each excel in, like the detailing stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know anything unless you feed me the information because I'm
Yeah,
not out on the field with you. So if I'm not knowing, okay, well, I'm low on this, or it takes me this amount of time to get this done, so I need it. Like if all the information I know is what you give me, even with the packages and the way, like educating me on what it is you do and how you're doing it and what you need from me to get it done. So that's why I'm always like, well, if that's what you think you need, then all right, let's do that now. In the events where I'm like, okay, we could do this a little bit better. We could do that because on the back end, it's like 'cause on the back end. That's just
hmm
what that is. So it's
HR
like I
department, as I
know
like to say.
how to maneuver that. So with the clothing stuff, that's a lot of more back end stuff that you have to do. It's not upfront like a
Yeah,
service business. It's very different. So we just is knowing each other's strengths and letting them take the front seat on that strength.
true.
So yeah.
So on to the next topic.